In our final video for Module 8, we'll look at migrating Windows Server 2003 DHCP to Windows Server 2012. The first part of the migration procedure involves installing DHCP Server on our destination Windows Server 2012 machine. As we can see, we're simply installing the DHCP server role and configuring as per best practice to restart the destination server if necessary. Once the installation completes, we will then need to go to our Windows Server 2003 R2 machine and run an export SMIG server setting command on that machine in order to get the DHCP database and configuration. What we will then do is run an import command on the Server 2012 machine, and at that point our DHCP server service will be stopped. We will then start the DHCP server service, and we will have migrated our entire DHCP infrastructure across. All that then remains is to retool the IP, and it can start giving out IP addresses to the network. Back at our Windows Server 2003 machine, we'll now examine the current DHCP server setup. As we can see, we have a scope created for our Contoso network, and if we go into our reservations section here, you can see we have a reservation for an email server on 10.0.10.171. What we will do now is back up the current DHCP server, and this is being used as a precaution to ensure that if anything does go wrong with the migration, we can restore everything to the way it was previously. We now run an export SMIG server setting command to export the DHCP database and settings, and in this case we're also exporting the user and group accounts, which we would do if we hadn't previously done our file server migration. As you can see, we now export our DHCP server information, and that is going to be saved to the path C migration data DHCP. This has all worked correctly, and now what we'll do is execute a netsh command. This command is going to be used to connect to the DHCP server and deauthorize this DHCP server from giving out IP addresses on our network. From this point onwards, we do not want this DHCP server giving out IP addresses because we intend to migrate its functionality to Windows Server 2012. As we can see, we simply put in the command netsh DHCP server delete server, name of the server and IP address that we need to deauthorize. Now on our Windows Server 2012 machine, we can see that we've copied across the DHCP server data that we previously exported. And now, from our command line, we'll execute an import SMIG server setting command. We'll specify our password again, and it will examine that migration store, and once it's got all of the information it needs, it will bring it across into the local copy of DHCP. Now that we have imported our DHCP database across to our Windows Server 2012 machine, the next thing we'll need to do is actually start the DHCP server service, which is currently in a stopped state. We'll scroll down to DHCP server, choose start. Once the DHCP server starts, we are now able to start giving out IP addresses utilizing the scope that we migrated from Windows Server 2003. As we can see, opening up our DHCP applet here, we can see that our scope has come across and our email server has come across. We are now fully migrated.